No.
Welcome to another episode of Is This for Kids? I am Jonathan Bearded Blevins, and I think that most media marketed towards teenagers, particularly the episode we're talking about today, is pretty horrific.
Wow, you're a monster. I'm Katie, MrsRuvi, and I think most media, especially the one we're talking about today, can be redeemed for your kids. And the point of this podcast is for parents to know what is in a piece of content that they might want to shield their kids from, what kind of topics come up that they are going to have to talk to their kids about eventually, so you want to shepherd them through those, and also how you can use media to just share in an important part of your kids' life.
And today we're talking about You Are So Not Invited to My
Bat Mitzvah. And you're so not invited to my bat mitzvah.
Well, if I did have a bar mitzvah, that's what it's for the fellas, right?
Yes.
You would not be invited. Just kidding.
I didn't know you when you were 13.
Would be, but it would not be as extravagant as the bat mitzvahs and bar mitzvahs in this movie.
Yeah. Would you like a little summary for the people?
I would, but I would like you to tell me like a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being that this is how bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs are in New York, in rich New York. How accurate you think these parties are.
I think it's hilarious that you think I would know. I live in Indiana.
But what's your guess?
I would say I've been to parties for rich people in Indiana, and they are pretty similar to this.
Okay. Shocking.
So if you know some really wealthy people, this is probably not far off.
Fascinating.
But for the average human, pretty far off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give us a little summary here.
Yeah, so we've got the story of Stacy Friedman, who is going to be preparing for her bat mitzvah. If you are not familiar with the concept of a bat mitzvah, this is a Jewish coming of age ceremony where a Jewish boy or girl goes to a temple. They read a section of the Torah. The sections of the Torah are based out by date. So like whatever date your bat mitzvah is, you're going to read that portion. And so they're going to go and they're going to read in there. That is their becoming of an adult in the faith.
Yep.
And then usually it is followed by a huge party in which my understanding is that the bat mitzvah boy or girl gets a lot of money.
Yes.
Just a lot of money handed to them.
Yeah.
Cash.
Not dissimilar to like confirmation if you're Catholic.
Yes. Or a quinceañera if you are Latino. Very similar, a coming of age thing. So while she's doing this, she's supposed to be becoming an adult, right? They have to do a mitzvah project, something. A mitzvah is a good deed, something that you do that's good in the world. So she's supposed to be doing these things to help grow up and become an adult. But in doing so, she kind of is the most childish she's ever been and creates some problems, fighting with her best friend over a boy, and hilarity ensues. But it is, in my experience, very true to the middle school experience.
No.
Yes. So true to the middle school experience.
I worked with middle schoolers for 15 years. I just don't see it. And rich places.
Well, I mean, okay. Take out the incredibly wealthy, extravagant parts of it. Like, yeah, okay, nobody's going to have a giant party with a DJ and a Candyland theme or whatever. But like the bickering, the way that they exclude one, like they've got a group of 4 girls, but 2 of them are closer than the other 2. And that's a weird thing. Then they both like the same boy, and how the one girl reacts to it's very true to the middle school experience. The way that they like this boy who's a complete dork.
That was wild.
Unrelated.
Yeah.
I sent a screenshot of that boy to our editor, Thomas, and I was like, this you?
Oh, that's funny.
It's funny.
He'll think that's funny too.
All right, so what is it in here that you think that parents might want to shield their kids from? Because apparently you think it's everything.
Well, because here's the thing. I struggle with movies that are, especially ones that are actually, like, we're going to talk about Do Revenge this week.
Yeah.
And like, I struggle with movies that are like, here's just a horrific decisions from the very beginning until the very end with 2 minutes of redemption. And especially if those movies are made for kids. Like if they're made for, I'll talk about Do Revenge when we get there. I don't necessarily think that's made for kids, although kids I'm sure are watching it. This one's very clearly made for kids. Like the actors are similar to middle school ages who are playing those characters. And so I think that when a middle schooler watches a movie like this, they're going to think that this is how you should act, regardless of which character it is. Like hopefully it's that character with the amazing hair who's helpful the entire time and is just like awesome and the greatest guy ever. And not all the other horrible characters that are in the movie. I don't understand it. So I struggle with the movie in general because it's just just horrific human beings. And if this is what people think that middle schoolers are actually like, and trust me, I know middle schoolers can be brutal. Something bad happens the summer of 6th to 7th grade. And I've talked about it before on the show. I don't know what it is, but like they just turn into little monsters sometimes. It's wild. But I struggle with it. So shield your kids from there's a mom in the movie that is just getting drunk at multiple bat mitzvahs and sharing alcohol with middle schoolers.
They're high schoolers.
Okay. They're high schoolers. They look like they're middle schoolers, but they're in high school. That's super weird. And like there's parents everywhere there. The language in the movie was not great, especially for middle schoolers. Like I just don't think I know middle schoolers swear. I'm not an idiot. I worked with them for 15 years. But I just don't think it's the way they do in this movie. And there's a lot of backbiting. A lot of like, everyone in it is horrible. And I just refuse to believe that every middle schooler is horrible. And so I would shield from a lot of those things. Now, because of the redeemable quality at the end, I'm not saying that that middle schoolers should not watch this movie. I just think it's a movie that like parents should absolutely watch it with their kid. Have conversations about it throughout it.
I disagree with you wholly, completely. Okay. So there, just the base level, like what parents want to know, like your high marks. There is a lot of unkind language in there. There's a bit of swearing, but I think it's middle school appropriate. Like hung out with enough middle schoolers, they swear just like that. That's exactly how middle schoolers swear. There's age appropriate back talk to parents. No violence, no sex. There is some kissing, but it's very lame middle school kissing. Closed mouth.
True.
They make a point to say that it's closed mouth. There's no drugs. There is one scene involving alcohol where a parent gives a bunch of teenage girls shots, and then they announce that they've had alcohol now, and they don't like it. They're not interested, which I thought was funny. The two main girls in the story, you've got Sadie Sandler plays Stacey Friedman, and then her best friend, Lydia. I was going to say Katz Rodriguez. Lydia and Stacey are the two main characters in it, and they kind of go back and forth because Stacey has had a crush on this boy forever, and Lydia starts dating him after a very goofy encounter where Stacey jumps off of a cliff into the water and her pad comes out and everybody is like giggling at her and calling her names and making fun of her. And Stacey perceives that Lydia laughed at her. And so they are not friends anymore. And they're so mad. And because Lydia's mad at Stacey for getting mad at her, she goes and dates the boy she likes. This is very middle school behavior.
Agree there.
100%. 100% normal. This is not, you're a bad person. This is just, you make rash decisions because you're in middle school and you're an idiot. And multiple times, both girls do this thing where they're like, I would really like to be friends with you again. And then but then just the littlest thing sets it off. And that is exactly what it's like to have a middle school girl friendship where like everybody keeps trying to come back. And then it's sort of this awkward, touchy thing. And then the big bad thing that happens, Stacey makes a video, the entrance video for Lydia's bat mitzvah, and includes a whole lot of videos just to embarrass Lydia. Now, you might make the argument that having made that video makes her a bad person, but she didn't send it. She never intended for that to be shared with anyone. Yeah. That was a private thing. That's like writing a mean letter and leave. And her mom sent it because she didn't realize what it was.
Yeah, that was edited.
It was an accident, right? So like this is cringy hilarity, but I don't think they're bad people. I think it's very much the kinds of mistakes that middle schoolers make. And it does a great job of showing how you can come back from them, how you can repair those friendships.
Okay, so I'm like half with you, except my number one hang up here is that there's no consequences ever. And there are consequences in real life.
She lost her bat mitzvah.
No, she decided to give up her bat mitzvah.
Yeah.
Like, but that's a great. She learned her lesson in the end. But throughout the movie, there are 25 moments that the parents on either end of any of these kids could have been parents. And they didn't. They did nothing. They just they let the kids do whatever they want. There is a consequence when you send a message in middle school. Do middle schoolers send messages to anonymous Instagram accounts in order to roast each other? Absolutely. Happens all the time.
But did the parents know about it?
But if they get caught, there's a consequence.
Yeah.
If you get caught kissing next to the tabernacle in the Catholic Church or the Torah, there's a real consequence. There really wasn't. They had a sit down and a talking to. I mean, there's constant betrayal, talking behind each other's backs, horrible things, and zero consequences the entire time. And until the very end, when the only consequence is that she decides to give up her bat mitzvah. But at no point do the parents notice that their daughters who've been best friends since they were 3 are fighting and have a talk about what's going on.
Okay.
What's okay?
Pump the brakes.
No, parents need to be involved. The parenting in this movie is why we do this podcast.
No, the parenting in this movie was fantastic. Adam Sandler, you did the great job.
He was pretty great.
He was great. Okay, so the parents clearly know something's going on. When they go to the dress shop and everything, they're like, hey, we haven't seen the girls around. Something's going on, yada, yada. But when you have a middle school child, your kid doesn't want you involved in those things. They will not talk to you about them. You'll bring it up and they'll be like, don't get it. And you can try to give good advice, but it's not going to take. You have these conversations and do always have the conversation, let your kid know that you care. But like, it's not like when they're little kids and you can tell them, oh, just go do this, and they'll just go do it. They won't. And they have to work this through themselves. But the big conflict that he's talking about, Stacey gets caught kissing the boy. They like go behind a curtain that's
Where
right in
the
front of the
Torah
Torah
is,
is. I'm not terribly familiar with synagogue structure, but it's a very holy place. Clearly, they should not have been there. And the rabbi tells her father, and her father loses it. Like, he's like, you are standing in front of God and our community and saying, I'm a Jew, I'm in this, but like, this is my people. He was very strong with that. And then she doesn't leave her room for a week. So I'm not sure if she's grounded or if she's self-exiling. But when you have kids that age, it's been my experience, when you have a good relationship with your kids that age and you talk to them in a tone that's like, I am clearly disappointed in the behavior you've just displayed, that's the worst punishment you can get. To a kid who actually cares what you think of them, the fact that they know they've disappointed you.
Probably yelled a little too much.
I think he yelled an appropriate amount, just the right amount. When you blaspheme, absolutely. I think he did a great job.
I will never yell for 45 straight seconds at my kid. Don't care what they do. Never.
I would like someone to write that down.
I don't yell at my kids now either. I just don't yell.
Anyway, but like, I think he did a great job. It was a very bad thing that she did, and he addressed it in a way that like in a way you don't see in movies anymore, by the way, where it's like, our faith is meaningful.
Yeah, give me that
history
for
to
sure.
it. Like, I thought it was beautiful and wonderful. And from that moment, she started to reevaluate her life and started to actually grow up. Which is why she gives up her bat mitzvah for her friend after she ruins hers. Like, I thought it was a great movie. I would recommend this one. I think it's wonderful.
I think it makes wrong assumptions about middle schoolers. I think the videos that you talk about in the movie that her and her friends are making. Mm-hmm. I mean, these are the things. This is at least why I'm doing the show, to let parents know that when your middle school daughters or middle school sons are together, don't leave them alone for hours at a time with recording devices. You just don't do that. Bad things are going to happen. Like, when I was in middle school, I didn't know what the words meant that they were doing in those videos. Yeah. I just didn't know. No, I wasn't a girl. So like, okay, great. But like, that's just bad parenting. You don't let your kid, when they're feeling horrible in middle school, sit in their room for 8 hours with their phone. Like, it's bad. That's bad parenting. And so I don't like it, because it shows everything that's wrong with the world today with middle schoolers. Mm-hmm. And as parents, I think we need to step up and do a better job. And I don't want a middle school. I don't have middle schoolers yet, but they're close. I don't want a middle schooler watching this and being like, oh, this is how I should act. And
I think that if your middle school will watch that, though, and you've been parenting their screen usage better, they would be like, well, that's why mom takes my phone away, clearly, because like, these people are doing that.
Sure.
And I actually talked to my middle school daughter about that. I was like, these videos that they got in Lydia's thing, that's why you don't have a cell phone, and that's why you're not taking your cell. I mean, she has a cell phone, but it's really cool. It limits the kind of photos she can take. It's really fun.
OMG, who cares? Oh, women. I can't imagine how horrible your lives are. Get a hobby. Get a life. You're a white woman. You have no say.
I'm a grown woman. These comments on Instagram do not bother me, but your kids shouldn't have to deal with this. That's where Bark comes in. Silence that noise. Bark can help you to cut off the apps, the scary language, and it'll let you know if any bullying like this is happening to your kid online. Get the Bark phone or the Bark app. You'll like it. Yep. Anyway, yada yada. This is why you don't take your cell phone with you to sleepovers. We all did the kind of things that they're doing in those videos. I have a video somewhere where I had a little camcorder, like an actual one that you put tapes in it, and we did a popsicle stick puppet show of the movie Titanic. Okay, a bunch of my friends and I did this. Yeah. It was dorky and lame, and if we had cameras, it would have been dumb. But like, these kinds of things that they show in those videos really do happen. And you're right. This is an opportunity to be like, this is why you don't take your cell phone. But this is a new frontier in parenting, how to parent cell phone usage. That was not modeled for any of us. Yep. So we're sort of like winging it here. And so I agree with you there, but that, for me, that's a shepherd conversation, right?
Sure.
Like don't shield that from your kids. Show it to them and be like, this is why you need to not bring your cell phone with you when you go to a movie or when you have sleepovers at your house. And this is the thing that happens with my middle school kids, where they're like, we're going to have a sleepover. Cell phones are going to be turned in at 9:00. All of the moms say this now, like, the cell phones are going to stay downstairs with me at 9:00. I think that's genius. And that's exactly what we need to be doing. So you're right on that. But I don't think that makes it bad parenting. I think it's just,
I'm going to try not to keep ranting, but I'll just say one final thing here on this subject. We get into the shield, all that good stuff real quick. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, I've grown up with a lot of Jewish friends. 80% of the Jewish friends I've grown up with are Jewish as a cultural thing, right? It's most of them actually are atheists. And then the 20% of them take it very, very seriously. The family here is very culturally Jewish, right? And I think, I don't, there's just something about like they did not once try, I mean, the little things here and there. Well, have you done this yet? Have you done your mitzvah yet? Have you studied this? And it's like, no, all I care about is the party. That is like completely missing the point, unless it's just about the cultural part of it for you. And so that part, like, I struggle with that too. Like, if you're a good parent, your kids might be like that for sure, but have conversations about what's actually important in life, and allowing their daughter to spend 8 hours a day thinking about it every single day is not healthy. The biggest day of my life. What about your wedding? What about the birth of your child? What about, the death of your mom or dad? I think that this comes from a place
where we don't have coming of age moments in secular American society. There are no coming of age moments left anymore. People don't all get cell phones at the same ages. People don't even get driver's license at the same ages. So for kids who still have a coming of age moment, this feels like the biggest moment of their life. They're not guaranteed a wedding. They're not guaranteed children, but this is a thing that they know that they're going to have. And as a share moment, I think that one of the things that we should look at, even if you're not Jewish, I found myself looking at this movie being like, dang, kind of wish I was Jewish. Like, I love cultural religion. I just think that we need to have more coming of age traditions as Americans.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
100%, except that like the one moment that there's a teaching moment where all the kids who are super young and impressionable are asking a question to the rabbi and their teacher about like why they're suffering in the world, why are there all these things that are wrong? And she sings a horrible, cheesy song. Like, come on, these are moments that's what's wrong with
this movie was not a religious movie. So like a person who is an actual rabbi would have had a better answer for that question.
100%.
If you ask any like vaguely competent religious person, why is there suffering in the world? They can give you a good answer, better than God is random. So yes, they don't do a great job giving any catechesis in this movie, but they do a great job of saying, hey, this is our religion and it matters. And they do a good job of doing coming of age, and now you need to grow the F up, which seems to be like a theme of Adam Sandler movies lately with Leo and this one.
Yep,
like,
that's the part I did like.
Like, let's usher kids into adult life and stop letting them be babies forever.
At the very end, it is redeemed.
Yeah.
And I do like how they handled the entire conflict. I just think that you don't have to, like, we're all gonna make mistakes. We're all gonna make big mistakes. We're all gonna, but she made like 20 in a row. And I just hope that not everyone has to do that. And I hope that kids don't watch this movie and think, oh, she made all these mistakes, and at the very end it was fine. So like I can too.
Yeah, I don't think kids take movies that seriously.
I hope not. I did when I was a kid. Like you brought up The OC. Like when I watched The OC, I was like, oh my gosh. I started buying the clothes. I started listening to the music. And this movie is very much that. Like they played all the hit music. Taylor Swift's in there. All kind like, and so if I'm a middle schooler and I'm watching this, at least I'm definitely influenced by that kind of stuff. Sure. I'd be like, oh yeah, like that's how you should act.
But like, did you go punch a guy at a party? Because in The OC, that's what he does. Like, kids can tell when the behavior is bad.
But I definitely thought about it because of The OC. Like, I definitely was like, should I be fighting more? I did. I was like, I
should definitely have more short skirts. But I don't think that kids are going to go do the dumb thing that is clearly meant to be a dumb thing. Like when the bad guys are bad or when the kid does something bad, they know that. They're going to be influenced by the general milieu. But the general milieu of this movie is grow up.
Interesting.
For our share, we're talking about building more community, building more traditions. Is there anything else we think we should be looking at?
I did like that the parents had a genuine interest in loving their kids still, and that the kids didn't hate their parents. That was very nice.
Yeah. And I loved that there was a multi-generational celebration. Like,
agree.
There's old people from the temple that are at this thing with the young people. It was really cool.
Yep.
I dig that. All right. So what age would you say this is okay for?
Surprisingly, after crapping on this movie, because here's the thing. I didn't even hate the movie. I hated the movie from the perspective of a middle schooler. That's it. Like, I actually thought the movie was kind of good. Mm-hmm. But from the perspective of a middle schooler, I'm like, don't be influenced by this movie in any way. I'm going to say 13 and up, watch it with them and have good conversations about what not to do.
I'm going to say watch it when they're 11.
There you go. Hey, we're not that far off.
Middle school.
After all that, we're not that far off.
No, yeah. I say 11, you say 13. Let's call the whole thing off.
There you go.
All right. Well, if people like this and they want to find more, where would they look for it?
isthisforkids.com. We're on Instagram, YouTube. You respond to almost every single comment on Instagram.
No, not on some of them. There's some that have like hundreds of comments.
I should say you read them.
I read them.
They're
and I'm
seen.
like, you people are insane.
Yeah. At least once a week I go through just to make sure that I'm not getting canceled. It's awesome.
Oh, I'm going to get you canceled.
So check it out. isthisforkids.com. We'll show you everywhere that you can find us.
Yes. Hey, there's so much content out there for us to navigate as parents.
I'm Jonathan Beard of Blevins.
I'm Katie, MrsRuvi. Let us help you decide.
Is this for kids?
Wow.